Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club, the place investors go to learn tips, tricks, and stories from other investors in the field. If you feel we provide value to you, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, share whatever it may be, and if you'd like for us to cover a specific topic, let us know in the comments or reach out to us through our website. Today we have a very special guest, so buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride. All right, we are live. Tanya, thank you for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Gabe. Thanks for having me.
Right on. So let's just get started right into the thick of it. Why don't you
Let's
introduce yourself?
Sure.
Tell us, who you are, where you're from, and how you got into real estate in the first place.
Okay. Tanya Endicott from the Dallas, Texas area. Got into real estate because I was in law school, got pregnant, and decided that's not where I needed to be. So that was a little over 20 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
I love it. That's kind of, that was how my story started too. I was in law school. I didn't go straight into real estate, but I did have that similar starting. So I'm right there with you. It's not the path I decided to take.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yep. So great. You got started. There was a number of years ago. You went straight into, you started as a realtor, and then once you became a realtor, you started investing in properties. Kind of give us a story since then.
Sure.
How's it gone?
So once I got started in real estate, I've always been a big proponent of not having to find each deal, trying to make that mass deal work. So I went into foreclosures and worked with the different corporations, and I listed homes for 21 different banks, and kind of gotten thrown into, without having any experience, having to rehab the properties for the banks and then pay the contractors up front, get paid on the back end. And then if the bank went under when all of that happened, then I didn't get paid back. So I kind of learned in my real estate experience how to rehab properties, how to deal with contractors, how to go into a property and say, I need to do this, 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 and this to make a buyer buy it for the price that I want them to buy it at.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how I got started. And it was a really natural transition into investing at that point. And so I started learning how to buy properties on the courthouse steps.
Oh, wow.
And that was my first two properties ever were bought on the courthouse steps, which I don't advise unless you really know what you're doing, just FYI.
Yeah, that sounds like I've never done it, but it sounds like a high stress kind of situation. You got to make the decision on the dime. You got to know your numbers. You got to go in there prepared. Yeah.
Well, and that's not even the most important part. The big thing is you have to know that property doesn't carry $100,000 tax lien on the back that you just bought with your money.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. So you're not able to take it through title?
No, not at all. You pay cash on the spot. You have to bring cash with you to the auction, and any liens that don't get wiped out by the first lien holder, you are now an owner.
Oof,
so that's why I say you need to know what you're doing. You don't bid on property that you haven't done the research on, and you could do research on 50 properties looking up title stuff in the county records, and one of them may come up for sale.
Gotcha.
But I mean, I bought a property for $15,000, and I later I rented it out for years and years, and then later sold it for $189. So
that's not bad. It's not bad.
Now it was literally a shell of a property, and I dumped a lot of money into it first. But anyway,
still, that's I'm sure you still had a pretty good ROI on that property.
Yeah.
That's great. So why don't we kind of stick into that? I want to ask you a little bit about your business, what you're doing. It sounds like, you got two sides. You're a broker. So you have the brokerage side, you deal with investors on that side, helping them find good flips, helping them find good rentals. And then you also have your investing side of the business. So kind of tell us, what are you doing today? In present day, what's your bread and butter? What's bringing the dollars in the door?
Right. So, we have a traditional side. And, because I've been doing it for so long, it just kind of flows. I've got a team of agents and great staff, and we're able to just make that magic happen on that end. And then on the flip side, I do that with my husband, and we make a really good team because he knows how to make everything fit into place. And if I say, oh, I really want this, then he knows how to make that magic happen. So, I remember one property we walked into, and it was literally with a black marker. And we went in, and on the walls, we drew X's. We were getting rid of this wall, and I want a door here. And then he just went in and made the magic happen. Now, he's not just the grunt work. He also has brilliant ideas as well. But that's how we work. I run the numbers. I'm the numbers cruncher, and then he goes in and he says it'll take this number of dollars to make what you want happen. And a lot of times we'll pick out supplies together, but we try to stick to the same paint colors. And we don't, it's not like the TV shows. Everybody watches those TV shows and they're like, oh, let's create a whole new project every single house that we get. And if you do that, you end up getting yourself into trouble.
That's absolutely true. And I can attest to the fact of having a solid partner and having a partnership that you kind of help each other. You fill in the gaps where the other one kind of,
exactly.
You're each working with your strengths is incredibly important. So it sounds like that's what you and your husband have. And so it's awesome that that's working out so well.
Yeah, for sure.
So on the investing side, what is it that you guys focus on? You're doing flips, and it sounds like you also buy rentals. What what is that side?
Yeah, so I used to have multiple rentals, and then went through a divorce and no longer have those rentals. But we kind of set out our map, as you will, of what we want to accomplish, and definitely the buy and hold strategy is on there. I've been in that space before. I like that space because of the residual income that just happens each month. And in Texas, with so many corporations here and that kind of stuff, it's a great place to have buy and hold property. So my thing is, I learned, I almost went under in my business career in real estate in 2009, 2010, because I had all my eggs in one basket. And I wasn't doing flips. I wasn't really doing anything. I literally was only listing foreclosures for the banks. And then all the banks went under. There were no more foreclosures. And it was a struggle. And there are a lot of people in Dallas who went out of business during that time because they weren't able to readjust what they were doing fast enough. And luckily, I was able to do that. And I decided I would never do that in any business again, have all my eggs in one basket. So for me, a diverse portfolio is super, super important.
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
That is, that is absolutely true. So how do you go about diversifying your portfolio now? It sounds, you used to be 100% in foreclosures. Now you got your brokerage, you got your fix and
side.
flips, and then you're also buying rentals. Is that?
Yes. Yeah. So we're also on track to do some buy and holds this year. Yeah. And then eventually I want to do some buy and holds on multifamily property, like 100 doors, apartment complexes, but I haven't reached there yet. So
yeah, that's great. No, that is something that a lot of investors are interested in. So multifamily is it's a really big, it's a big undertaking, but it's a lot of fun. But you got to start a single family, right?
you do. You have to start somewhere. You can't eat the whole elephant all at one time. It's bite by bite, right? Or the cow, or whatever the analogy is. Anyway, it's about one step forward instead of trying to figure out how to do everything all at once.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So I understand you are, in your partnership, you are kind of the one that deals with the numbers. You're really analytical. You understand how to identify a good flip, a good rental when you see one. So what is it that kind of gives it away? Kind of what's your process? Take us through how you identify a deal versus a dud.
Okay. So the very first thing that I do, because I have to tell you, I probably get 50 emails a day from wholesalers or people who have investment properties, and it's like, oh, I have this great deal, doesn't need a lot of work, and you can buy it at 135,000, and the ARV on this property is 150. Okay, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And honestly, I mean, I don't trust anything that any of the wholesalers send me, because they're in it because they want to sell the property to you. So if you don't have a way to run your own numbers, whether that's partnering with a real estate agent who you're going to end up selling with on the back end, or who will help you, on a deal by deal basis, like you pay them a little bit and they'll send you as many comps as they want, or if you don't have some kind of software that you feel super solid about your numbers on, that's like the very first place to start. Because I don't care if somebody says they have the sweetest deal in the world, if their numbers are off and you planned on their numbers, then it's ultimately going to fall on your shoulders when you have to sell and you're underwater in that property. They don't care. They're gone. So when I'm running numbers, the very first thing I do is what are they selling it for right now? And then what do I realistically see the ARV being? And I don't try to reach for that, because obviously the wholesalers are saying, let's reach for that high number. You don't want to try to reach. I mean, if there's any kind of shift in the market, it's not usually going to happen overnight. But you also aren't going to get that property done overnight either. So you're going to forecast a little bit and say, okay, what's happened in the last 6 months here? How many properties are selling? Was there just an incredible month, or is everything in the neighborhood selling low, but the radius search around that property may be selling for better numbers? So something is going on in that neighborhood. What is it? So it's just really, really digging down into what your end price number is going to be. And then you go inside and you look, because if the end price number doesn't make sense for what they're selling it with, it really doesn't matter, what the inside price is going to be, because you have to know what your closing costs are. So you already know what your set costs are to start with, right? Before you have to go in and rehab a property, you have set costs when you close in the beginning, and you have set costs when you close at the end, right?
Yep.
So you already know those. And then, you figure out what your true ARV is, and then you decide if it makes sense to actually dive into the property and look at what rehab needs to be done on it. So.
I like that. I think that that one line is probably that kind of sums it up. Don't reach. I know I started doing flips. That's kind of how I got started in this. Yeah. And I definitely had properties where I was reaching. And that is a lesson that, you don't want to learn, but you'll learn it if it's what you're doing. So don't reach. That's really good. I like that.
Good. Glad I said something useful today.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing fix and flips. You're looking to do buy and holds. In order to find, I mean, we all know that there's a process to real estate. You can't, I mean,
Right.
properties don't just come to you. You have to find the deal. You have to analyze
Right.
it. You have to finance it, and then you have to fix it and flip it and stabilize it.
Mm-hmm.
So take us to the very start of that funnel for you. How do you go about finding properties? I mean, you're a realtor, so you get to see
Right.
stuff on the market, but do you do any off-market marketing, or how does that look for you?
So I'm going to tell you what has happened for us, but that's not going to be the situation for everybody. I'm not going to be your best guru on this because I haven't figured out that magic strategy yet where
Okay.
someone else could duplicate it.
Yep.
And I'm always, I'm always a level with you kind of person. I don't try to sell you the stars and the moons, but the thing that I will tell you is I told you about a couple of courthouse properties. In my real estate dealings, just normal real estate dealings, I come across properties where people just want out.
Yeah.
They just want out, and that's just all there is to it. And it was so funny. I think it was a couple years ago, maybe. I was at a listing appointment with somebody, and he's like, I just don't want to deal with people coming in my house. I don't want to do repairs. I don't want to anything. And I was like, well, I could buy it from you. And it just kind of, my husband, I came home and he's like, are you crazy? Where are we going to get the money to buy this house? And I said, I don't know, but we're going to do it. And we did. And, I mean, I interviewed a bunch of hard money lenders and paid way too much on the hard money lender I chose. And I mean, so setting all of that up even before you find the property is a really good choice as opposed to finding a property and then scrambling to figure it out at that time. Just one of my ahas. But anyway, it just kind of snowballed from there. I mean, he saw what you could do relatively easy with the property, and I think we made 40 on that one.
It's not bad.
Somewhere similar in that range, and I think we were in it for maybe 3 months, from the beginning to the end. So it was just one of those nice cherry deals that everybody hopes for, right?
Nice. I like it. So that's where you get the majority of your deals today is on market through the MLS or your equivalent of the MLS?
Well, no, these would be prior to the MLS. I will say I don't think we've ever bought anything out of the MLS.
Okay.
Now I've sold things out of the MLS to other investors. So I'm not saying that's not a good place to go, but I think your competition is a little more fierce there because everybody has programs that scrub the MLS, and then you end up in these multiple offer situations, and any good agent isn't going to just take the first offer that comes in because they're trying to get their seller the most money, and it is what it is. Which is the way that it's supposed to be for a real estate agent, right? You're supposed to represent your client. So, but yeah, so I would say our go-to is definitely not the MLS. We've stumbled upon properties that have just been sellers or people who knew we buy, and said, hey, my mom's got a house or this or that. And we've ended up purchasing it. And then we have bought a couple from wholesalers, but they had to have, they were pretty wrecked, to be real honest with you. Yeah. And I'm not sure that that's our go-to for most of them. It's always nice to go in and out as opposed to be holding onto the property for a while, because it definitely eats into what you end up putting in your pocket later. But we've literally bought houses that were down to the studs. And
those are projects.
Everything under the sun needed done. Yeah. So.
Yeah, those are the hard ones for sure. That's kind of what got me out of flipping was having a deal like that and just having everything go sideways and finally being like, you know what, this is not the model for me.
Yeah, I mean, I heard someone, I can't remember what, there's all kinds of different gurus out there preaching lots of different things, right? And somebody had called it wholetailing or something like that, where basically you're buying a property that needs very, very little is what the whole concept is. And that's a good concept. You just, again, your numbers are slim. And so you have to just be really, really solid on your numbers. And I've seen so many investors just on the real estate side before I ever started flipping get really caught up in the emotional aspect of it and say, well, I don't want these cabinets. I want custom cabinets, and I want this floor because it looks better than this floor, even though this floor is less expensive. And I want this and I want that. And they make it this like labor of love. And I'm not saying you don't pour some love in those houses, but again, it's not like a TV show, because every penny you spend on that house is a penny you're not getting out of it.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I mean, we ask ourselves 3 questions, and is it necessary for the sale? Is it a hazard? Like it just is a health issue that has to be taken care of? And will a buyer, will it increase our outcome when a buyer buys? Because there are things that will. There's definite improvements you can make to a property that will increase what you can sell for, like granite or a quartz or something. But you're not going to get more for quartz than you do for granite.
Right. Yep.
So does the neighborhood have to have quartz? It depends on the price point you're in. You know what I mean? But some people are like, well, let's take this $200,000 home and put quartz in it and do this. And you're like, well, why would you spend that extra $6 a square foot for quartz? Like, why would you do it?
Yeah, and same goes for flooring. You don't have to put the $6 per square foot, hard oak down. Just put a laminate.
Yeah,
looks just as good. Call it good.
Yeah, yeah. I think the more you can kind of stick to a package, which is the mentality of the builders who build, rows of houses, and they go in and they're like package A, package B, package C, package A, package B, package C. You have to stick to what is going to sell. Don't try to, it's fun to do something creative, but pick one thing that you can do that'll make the house pop a little bit. Like we put a pot filler in a house and it was sticks. Okay. And I think that was actually my husband's idea. Hey, should we put a pot filler in here? It was right by the sink. It literally cost us like $200 to do. But it just kind of is that wow factor, you know? So you gotta pick your pops.
I like that. Pick your pops.
There you go.
And that's absolutely true for flipping. You can't, I like that you said, kind of follow what builders do. They have their defined templates that they use when they go in and build because they're doing in volume. Unless you're flipping your own house, you don't try to use all of your creativity. Just do something that can be replicated over and over again. Because that's when you really get to volume. That's when you really get to the volume. So,
and it doesn't confuse the contractors that you're working with either. Like they don't have to try to figure it out. They just know.
That's a good point. Actually, I didn't even think about that one. On that point, working with contractors it is the hardest part, in my opinion. When it comes to flipping houses. So what's your strategy there? How do you go about selecting a good contractor? I know once you get a good one, you kind of just hold on to them for dear life, but how do you go about finding those good contractors?
Well, so we join groups, and that's not 100% foolproof. I'm just going to say, you still want to do your due diligence on the contractors. And I'll tell you, I mean, it's not that we've never been burned. I don't think you can flip for any given time and not be burned by a contractor at least a couple of times. If you haven't, well, I don't know your secret, but I will tell you, so I know Spanish. All right.
Yep.
So I speak Spanish. And so when they talk, I can understand them. So I definitely advise speaking Spanish. It's a good thing. Even if it's not just about contractors, it's good. It's good to know what they're saying, when you're in the room.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Speak the language of the contractor.
Speak the language. And then, and my husband and I, we kind of trade off the good guy, bad guy routine too. And it works. Okay. So if he's got a contractor that's not, that's pissed off with him, then I'll call and do the good guy routine with him. Oh, what's going on? And vice versa. If I've got somebody that I can't get to snap to, then he'll call and be the bad guy. So, I mean, we definitely play that.
I like it. That works.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's really about, it's about networking with other investors in the area. Hey, who did you use for this concrete work? Who did your electric? There's a lot of really good contractors out there, and there's a lot of great networking groups. So get involved in some of the networking groups that are in your area, and you guys will end up sharing contractors.
I like it. Good advice. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here. We're going to step away from talking about your individual business. And I kind of want to go into your stories, your experiences. We all know real estate it's a roller coaster. You got your ups and you got your downs, both financially and emotionally. So kind of take us to one of your low points, and tell us, what was that experience, and what was the lesson that you learned from that?
Okay. So, when you first get started flipping, it's really hard to juggle more than one property at one time, because you end up with all of your money in one property. At least the way I do it, because I hate paying people to use my money. I hate it. Okay. It's like, yeah. So I hate the hard lenders where you have to escrow your money and then you have to pay them to come out and take a look at your property and approve what you've done and get your money out from them. I hate that. So I use hard money lenders who don't do that. But I fund my rehabs. So we end up with a lot of money in a given property at any time. And I mean, we've been really lucky, I think. Maybe not lucky. I'm not going to say it's luck, because it's a lot of hard work and a lot of homework on a property before we buy it. So I'm not one that I'll see it come across my email and be like, let me write you a check. I'm going to run my numbers. It's not going to take me long, but I'm going to do it. It's just how I work. Nobody's going to strong arm me into buying a property with that. It's going to be pulled away. Someone else is going to get it. Okay. Then I guess it wasn't meant to be, but, so anyway, the only thing that I can think of is when it always sucks when you don't have enough money to buy a property that you see that is going to be a great deal, because you've got all your money tied up in something else. And I remember there was one property we were literally waiting for one to close so that we would be able to buy another one or finish work on another one. I can't remember which was the scenario, but I was literally like, okay, if that doesn't close, then we're not going to be able to pay this.
Oh man. But it worked out well in the end.
It did. It worked out. God is good.
All right. So I guess, now take us to the top. You're still doing it and you've done it for quite a while. So tell us what, why are you still in it? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Well, I'm going to be super honest with you. I mean, like, my why isn't necessarily connected to my bottom dollar. I mean, I have an ulterior motive. Okay. And it's to start an organization. And I think everybody has to have a why. Mm-hmm. You have to have a why, or you're not going to be able to get up and be successful and do this every day. And my why is I want to be able to have enough money where I can buy a property So it's first I set up the organization, which is going to be called Preston's House. By the way, I already own the domain.
Nice.
And it's for battered women with children. Okay. And we will be able to buy a property and not need the money from that property. And so what we'll do is the women who age out of like a Hope's Door or, any of the advocacy programs that they have for women, which are set up as emergency relief. These women with children can come and stay in this apartment building that we have or this house, and they won't have to worry about any bills for a month. Like all they're going to do is focus on getting a job and taking care of them and their children. Okay. And so for a month, they've got no house payment, no electricity payment, no grocery payments, no nothing. They're just focused on getting a job. Okay. And then the next month they might have to pay their gas and some groceries or gas and electricity, just slowly over a 6-month process, weed them into, they are now fully self-sufficient and able to take care of their children. So that's my why, is to be able to start this organization.
That is a great why. I would love to support it once it's a reality.
Thank you. I'll let you know.
All right. So now we're gonna switch gears one more time.
Sure.
There's always patterns to people's success, and it starts from the moment that you first got into business. And so now that those patterns are in your life and you're kind of running them, the habits of success. If you could go back to the Tanya who just started, however many years ago, and give that version of yourself one piece of advice going forward in real estate investing, what would that piece of advice be?
Start sooner.
All right.
Start
okay.
Sooner. Start sooner and do more of it. I mean, I will tell you, I love the investment side of it. I really do. And it may be because you get to take this project and you pour a little bit into it, heart and soul, money, all of these things, and then you get to say, okay, bye. And then you get to do another one and it's all exciting and new again. And I like that. I like that aspect of it. I guess in all seriousness, I would probably have gotten a mentor sooner instead of trying to figure it out by myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So if that's the one thing that I could go back and tell myself, it would have been, hey, get a mentor so you don't have to try to reinvent the wheel, because you don't need to. You don't need to.
Awesome. And so if you already, somebody listening who's just starting out, if they don't have a mentor, what would you suggest? How do you suggest going and finding themselves a mentor?
So, and you know what, there's a lot of them out there. Okay. And I'm not going to tout any one company or person or individual. Everybody wants money. Imagine that. So do research, get on some of the like Bigger Pockets and some of the investor groups and ask people's experience. Hey, how was your experience with so-and-so? Hey, was this program worth buying? Because I remember, like, I don't even know how long ago this was, but it was like on TV, they were selling this one size fits all. Oh, you can make $1 million without spending $1. Run from those programs. Okay. I even remember the person who put that on, and I'm not going to say the name.
Oh man.
But anyway, there is not usually a one size fits all for the entire United States, because every state has different laws. Like Texas, we're a non-disclosure state. Okay, that's not necessarily true in like Minnesota or Tennessee. So someone who's selling a program in Tennessee may not really have the best programs for Texas. because they don't know our laws and they don't know the market, to be quite honest with you. So I would say find somebody that maybe not necessarily your area, but at least knows the laws for your area, and then do research, read about them. Don't go spend $10,000, $20,000, because some of these gurus ask for that much money and more. But partnering and getting a mentor is huge if you want to have that kickstart. Otherwise, you can do it yourself. You don't have to have that. It's just if you want to do it quicker, faster, better. Does that help?
Yeah. That is a good advice. And I also like that you suggested local mentors because, in my opinion, I mean, everybody's different. Different things work for different people. Yes. But being able to sit down and actually meet up with a mentor in person, for me, has been very important. So I like that piece of advice. So we try to keep these episodes between 30 and 40 minutes. So we are kind of we're hitting the tail end of our show here. But before we sign off, we all need things, including yourself. So if somebody could bring you something, what is it that you'd like for them to bring you? Bring
me your deals.
There you go. All right.
Yeah. If you think that you have a fat deal, I'd love to look at it. So.
Perfect. And on that note, if somebody did want to get in contact with you, sure. What would be the best way for them to go about doing that?
Well, you could email me at Tanya, Tanya, at DallasHomeTeam.com, or give me a call or text 469-450-2566.
Perfect. Well, Tanya, I'm sure I can speak for everybody listening and watching. We really appreciate having you on, and you sharing all of the wisdom that you've had so far. So I appreciate jumping on here. And if anybody wants to get in contact with Tanya, she just shared her contact information. I will also put her LinkedIn in the show notes to the episode, so you can grab it there. And other than that, we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.
All right. Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Investing Club. If you feel we provided value, we would appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up, share it with your friends online, whatever it may be. If you'd like to share or partner with us on an investment deal, we are always looking for quality projects. Go to www.therealestateinvestingclub.com to get in contact with one of our partners. Otherwise, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.